Hey guys, so I wanted to make a quick video just talking about what's been going on for the last couple of months because it is relevant to this channel, very relevant to this channel, and it's come to my attention that people have been inquiring about me and what I'm up to and where am I okay? Did life implode? No. I talked on this channel last year somewhere in my sea of 350 videos. You might have missed this one. I was talking a little bit about some other topic related to the mentality of, getting out of your own way and how your thoughts kind of put a barrier in front of you to moving forward. And that when those things are removed, that's when things really start to happen. And I was talking about my business, how my business, which is probably my best example of a long-term manifested thing. My business is something that was conceived and born after I read The Science of Getting Rich over a period of a few years. And it really was brought about using just visualization and knowing that something would happen and doing everything from that mentality, living in the end of that mentally, meaning just living in the state of mind of knowing that it would happen, not necessarily living as if it were already happening now. One of the biggest misconceptions in this space. And so I was talking sometime last year, about how I had hit sort of a wall with my business. It came so far so fast, and I couldn't pay rent in 2011, and now I am a multimillionaire, and I've been one for 2 or 3 years. And my business hit what in my mind was sort of like its apex, I think in 2017 or 2018, I think it was 2017, that it hit $1 million in revenue. This is a business that I built from scratch, manufacturing a product that I conceived and sort of conceived. I improved upon something that somebody else had conceived of. And it hit $1 million in revenue, which for me was just, I hadn't had time to even grasp how much my life had changed financially by the time that happened. I couldn't pay rent in 2011, 2017. My business hits $1 million in revenue. A business that when it started out, grossed $50,000 in the first year. So that to me was just kind of like it, in my mind. I didn't have any other big goals beyond $1 million in revenue and becoming a millionaire myself. Those were kind of like the two big things. And beyond that, I was just, it wasn't like I had some big driving desire to see another number like that or to, achieve some kind of acclaim in the business world, or, I didn't have like the desire to sell it to some, it was it. I didn't have any other goals. And so I was talking on this channel last year about how, in my mind, the reason that I didn't really want to go further than that, and that I didn't really have any other big goals, was just sort of a collection of thoughts about the business that felt true to me, like this is sort of what we're talking about in this space. There's just a truth for me that was creating my reality. The truth was, I don't have the business chops for this to make it any bigger. I'm basically a glorified, I started out as an eBay seller and now I have this big business, but really I'm still just that eBay seller. I'm still just that person, that's how I felt. And honestly, how I still feel. I just sort of feel like somebody that sort of accidentally manifested my way into having this thing that I'm lucky I can run myself. And so that was just sort of where I was operating from. I don't have what it takes for this to get any bigger. If I continue to run my business the way I'm running it, I will be very, very rich in a short period of time. So why change anything? Keep it small, own it all that. That was just sort of where I was operating from. And last year I realized that that was all kind of bullshit. That really the skills that I would need to make this business bigger were things that I could learn along the way, just like I learned every other thing along the way. That, in my mind, there was sort of a fear of, being out of, what's the word I'm looking, being out of my own league, being out of the league of the not being in the league of people who have businesses bigger than mine, like they're all smarter than me, or they're all, degreed or something, even though they're probably not. I don't know. I just didn't feel up to the task, and I realized that was bullshit. I realized that these were all just thoughts, and that they were the things that were creating this barrier to my business growing any bigger than it already was. And I started to have a small desire for it to get bigger. That was sort of key. I didn't really have a desire for anything to change, so why would it? Why would I try to make something happen that I didn't want to happen? Last year when Matt was buying a car, I thought, man, this isn't, like the idea of buying a $30,000 car, which I didn't buy it, he bought it. But in my mind, I was like, man, it would just be great if $30,000 was just like nothing. It's not an amount of money that is going to make me lose sleep. It's not an amount of money that makes me sick to my stomach to spend or anything like that. But it would be great if $30,000 was the way $3,000 is now, which is like, I would not bat an eye at spending $3,000 on something that I thought was worthwhile, and I wouldn't notice it if it left my bank account. It's not a significant amount of money, whereas $30,000 still is. And I want $30,000 to be like nothing. I want my perspective on my finances to shift by a degree of 10. So basically what that means is, to me, my net worth, my wealth needs to increase by 10. And so I just thought, okay, well, I think I kind of want that. And the way that I have in front of me that I can see, which is, I think, where you should always start, if there's some other path that's going to get you there, it will be, it will make itself known. You'll see it. But you start with what you have. You start where you are. This is Wallace Wattles, but it just makes sense. Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. You start in the business you're in with this feeling of, where you're going, this idea of where you're going, and a certainty that you're going to get there. So I just said, well, I've got this business in front of me that I've been holding back from growing. Why not just get out of the way and allow it to grow? I don't know what that's going to mean, but I'm going to remove this idea from my head that I can't handle it. I'm going to remove this sort of feeling of not wanting to embarrass myself. That was definitely one of my things, when I was just saying, if people are like out of my league, or they're whatever. The idea of perhaps embarrassing myself in like a business situation is one of the things that kept me where I am. So I'm just going to get over that. If there's ever a situation where, I embarrass myself, well, fuck you. I built a business from nothing. That's where I'm coming from. So if I'm some like Indiana hillbilly that's, way out of her league, talking to some people, some, in the financial world who, whatever, judge me, who fucking cares? Fuck you. That was where I just took on that attitude. Okay, if I embarrass myself, who cares? Got to get over it and just move forward. And that is sort of what started to take hold last year. Little by little, more and more. And really, when this took off was when I got rid of Reddit and YouTube comments. Not even because of necessarily the negativity that was coming at me, because there really wasn't a lot on YouTube. Reddit's a different story. Reddit is toxic. But when I just shut off all the noise, all of a sudden I had all this energy, and all of a sudden I had all of this motivation. I was like waking up early, getting out of bed, wanting to do stuff. And between November, I think it was like Thanksgiving, I was talking to my brother about changing some things about my business while I was making stuffing on the night before Thanksgiving. So that's when this sort of was like happening. I executed all of the things I decided I wanted to do between that day, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and December 11th. It is now January 20th, I think. My business has doubled. It wasn't small before. It has doubled. Compared to last year at this time, I've had twice as much business since then. And it's not going to stop, because the thing that I changed, I kind of always suspected certain things. about the way I was doing things were really not good and really needed to be fixed, but I was afraid of what would happen if I changed them, if I fixed them. I was afraid that my business would double. Stupid, right? But I wasn't wrong. I changed those things, I fixed those things, and my business doubled overnight. So that's what I have been doing.